15-minute yoga break, focus on legs. Let's begin in a constructive rest position on our backs, stamping the feet to the outer edges of the mat and letting the knees knock in towards each other to touch. You can close your eyes here and let your hands rest on your belly or out to the side. In this position, we'll think about our breath three-dimensionally. We'll start with a vertical space, breathing up and down the length of your spine completely. Let's start to think of our breath now laterally, side to side. On your inhales and your exhales, notice your ribs expand side to side and gently contract in. Lastly, let's think of our breath front and back here, thinking of the front and backs of your body pulling away from each other on your inhales as your body fills with air, and slowly, gently coming back towards each other as your body exhales. Now we have up and down, side to side, and front to back movements here with the breath. Let's put it all together for our three-dimensional breath, thinking of your lungs as a cylindrical space which can fill up in all three dimensions. The body will gently come back in towards itself as you exhale. So notice these subtle movements as you breathe the entire space of your lungs in today's practice. If your eyes were closed, gently blink them open, and we'll begin by extending our legs out in front of us and hugging the right knee into the chest. You can play with hugging this knee in towards the chest and a little out to the side towards the right armpit, and finding some gentle movement between these spaces. And then we'll eventually bring our hands behind the right thigh and we'll lift that right leg up towards the sky. Imagine that your foot is coming to plant towards the ceiling, but the knee can be gently bent. And if you'd like, you can find some ankle movements here by rolling the foot in one direction and then the other, or even pointing and flexing the feet here. Notice if you can hug this thigh a little closer to the body. Good, and then we'll release, letting the right leg extend out in front, hugging the left knee in towards the chest this time. The left knee can hug straight inwards or out to the left a little towards the armpit, or even finding some gentle movement here between those spaces. And then we'll bring our hands behind the left thigh, lifting the left foot towards the ceiling, foot coming to plant on an imaginary ceiling, or maybe you're rolling the ankle here side to side, pointing and flexing the foot, finding something that works for you. You can keep a gentle bend in the knee here. Notice if you can hug the leg a little closer towards the body. Good, and then we'll slowly release that left leg, extending out, and then we'll hug both knees into the chest and let them fall to one side completely so that you're coming to a fetal position. And then from here, we'll press up so that we can find our way to a downward facing dog. Tuck your toes and lift your hips up towards the sky. Let your head and neck relax here and find some gentle movement in the legs letting one heel come towards the earth and bending one knee, and switching to the other side, opening up through the back line of the legs in this downward facing dog. Continue to breathe with the full space of your lungs that we worked on at the beginning of this practice. And then we'll eventually make our way to a forward fold, bending your knees generously. You can tiptoe your feet forward, step one leg up and then the other. Find something that works for you, allowing the feet to be as wide as you'd like. Knees generously bent to release the lower back here. Allow the weight of the head to fall like a bowling ball so that your neck is nice and released. If you'd like to bring this into the legs, you can start to straighten your knees a little here and maybe even bring your feet in closer to touch. From here, keeping your right foot planted, go ahead and bring your left foot back behind you for a nice low lunge, lowering the left knee gently to the mat. Left toes can remain tucked or untucked as you find this low lunge here with a nice broad chest. On an inhale, look forward and notice if you can lunge a little deeper. And then on your exhale, bring your hips back towards your left heel as you start to straighten that right leg. Right foot can remain on the ground, or you can lift the right toes back towards your face for a half split posture. Breathe here and feel your inner thighs hug in towards each other. On an inhale, if your right foot was lifted, bring right foot to the ground and come back towards your lower lunge. On an exhale, come back to that half split posture. Let's do this 3 more times, inhaling to find our low lunge and exhaling to find that half splits. Inhale, find your low lunge. Exhale, find that half split. Inhale, find your low lunge. Exhale, find your half splits. On the next inhale, come back to your lower lunge. Tuck your left toes if they were untucked, lift the left knee, and we'll step the right foot back, coming back to our tabletop position. And then we'll lift the hips up and back for our downward facing dog once more when you're ready. From here, let's find our way back to that forward fold. And then we'll step the right foot back, keeping the left foot in front and lowering the right knee for our low lunge on the other side. On an inhale here, feel your chest broaden. And on your exhale, go ahead and straighten the left leg and maybe lift those left toes off the ground. Continue breathing here in your half splits and notice if you can find more hugging in of the inner thighs for stability. Good, and then we'll start to bring the left foot back to the mat if it was lifted, and then we'll find our way back to our lower lunge on an inhale, and on an exhale, we'll bring it back to our half splits. Let's do this 3 more times. Inhale, come forward to your lower lunge. And on your exhale, find your way to that half splits. Inhale, come forward for a lower lunge. Exhale, make your way back to half splits. One more inhale, come forward for a low lunge. And exhale, half splits. Inhale once again for that low lunge. Tuck those right toes, lift the right knee so that you can make your way back to a tabletop position. From here, we'll find our way to a child's pose for a moment, bringing knees to touch and your forehead towards the mat, arms back behind towards your feet. This is an embryo variation. Let's make our way out of this child's pose, coming back to your tabletop position. Let's make our way back to downward facing dog. And eventually back to that forward fold position. From your forward fold, let's bring the right foot to the middle of the mat and step the left foot back through your 4 feet. Let the left toes face the upper left corner of the mat and go ahead and straighten this right leg. This is our pyramid posture, folding forward over this right leg, and find a micro bend in this right knee. Lifting up here, let's inhale, come forward. On an exhale, bump your hips out to the left, drop this right arm and lift the left arm towards the sky for a triangle pose. Take 2 deep breaths here. Good, we'll release that and come back down to that pyramid pose, stepping the left foot back to meet the right so that the left foot is now in the middle of the mat. Then, send the right foot back a couple feet, right toes facing the right upper corner of the mat. Forward fold here over this left leg with a micro bend in the left knee. This is our pyramid pose. Good. From here, we're going to lift up, reaching up high on an inhale. On an exhale, bump the hips out to the right, lower the left hand towards the left leg, and the right arm up overhead for a triangle pose on the other side. Let's take 2 deep breaths here. Good, we'll eventually release by folding forward over this left leg and stepping the right foot back up to meet it. From this forward fold, let's make our way down to a seated position for our final postures. You can be in a cross-legged position or seated over your feet, finding something comfortable for you. From here, let's inhale, reach both hands towards the sky, and on an exhale, let's twist out to the right, bringing our right hand behind us and our left hand to the right leg. On an inhale, send the crown of the head towards the ceiling, and on an exhale, twist out over this right shoulder. Take 1 more breath here. Then we'll release back through center. Inhale, reach up nice and tall. On an exhale, twist out to the left, left hand behind, right hand to left leg. Inhale, send the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, twist. Take 1 more breath here. And we'll make our way back through center for a nice seated meditation as an ending posture. Hands can be on your knees or on your legs, and you can bring your thumbs to your forefingers here, for a nice mudra with your hands, giving your mind something to focus on. Sit tall and breathe here for as long as you'd like.